Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready. Let's go.
Pay attention to the message. I present to you the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with a new episode and a new week. If we sound kind of funny and stopped up, we are sick again. Yes, we are sick.
Thanks, daycare.
Yes, our daughter is in daycare. She got sick, and then she got us sick.
She's building her immune system, and we are building ours too.
And we're not doing good yet. But guys, if you heard us a couple of days ago, we was sounding bad. Bad. I sound like a whole man. I was like, yeah, we're going to wait to record until my voice come back a little normal. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So somebody actually called me out. That was like, Sierra, this is Pride Month. Are you guys going to do any LGBT cases this month? I was like, yeah, but of course. I forgot, guys. I really forgot June was Pride Month. I have so many birthdays this month, so much going on. It slipped my mind just for a couple days, probably longer. But I did get an LGBT case this week. And the rest of the month, it will be LGBT cases. So let's put it out there. Now let's get into the case. In a quiet Midwestern town, a man vanished without a trace. One cold January night, he lived alone in a small, tiny bungalow tucked behind a peach tree, a place he had shared for years with his late partner. After his partner's sudden death, the man stayed in the home, living a private life filled with antique and road trips and a quiet residence against a town that barely accepted him. On the night he disappeared, he made a late phone call to a friend. The conversation was normal until there was a loud knock at the door. A man's voice demanded to be let in. The homeowner quietly said he knew who it was and he promised to call back in 20 minutes. He never did. Weeks passed. The house remained undisturbed, locked, silent. The man's family became worried. He hadn't been seen at his antique shop, and his beloved dogs were missing. When the police searched the home, nothing seemed amiss. No sign of a struggle, no blood, no foul smell. Just an empty house that refused to speak. It wasn't until months later when birds began circling around the property and flies swarmed the siding that a neighbor realized something was very wrong. Behind a desk in the house, hidden beneath a rug and a trap door, the man's decomposed body was discovered in a crawl space. He had been there the entire time. The heat had made it impossible to determine how he died. But one thing was clear, he had fought back. Hair and blood belonged to someone else were found with the remains. Whoever had done this had clearly carefully hidden the evidence. and disappeared. Suspicion fell on a man who had been seen at the house and was caught selling the missing man antiques. He was brought in, gave a DNA sample, and then he vanished into the protection of a legal silence. Years later, his DNA didn't match, and the case went cold. No rallies, no outrage, just silence. Some believe the town never cared because of who the man had been. Too different, too invisible, too proud, in a place that preferred people to stay silent. To this day, no one knows who came knocking on that door. No one knows what really happened in that night beneath the peach tree. Only the silence remained, and the memory of a man lost beneath his own floorboards. This is the case of Larry Groves. Before his name ever appeared in the headlines or cold case files, Lawrence Larry Groves was already a quiet icon in his small Indiana town, unapologetic himself, in a place that often made people like him feel unwelcome. Larry was openly gay, something that never came with ease in Lakeville, but he never tried to hide it. When he strolled through town arm in arm with his longtime partner, Tom Bennett, he stood out. Fur coat draped from his shoulders, the soft shimmer of his jewelry catching the light as he passed through the diners, antique shops, and dusty back road. His presence was magnetic, confident but gentle. He didn't speak loudly, but he declared that he would not shrink. Of the two, Tom was quieter, the more grounded one. 10 years Larry Sr., Tom carried himself with the calm of someone who spent a long time observing rather than speaking. They had met not long after Larry brief stint in the U.S. Air Force, a time in his life that had been filled with unanswered questions, discomfort he couldn't quite name yet. After leaving the military, Larry found himself drawn to the world of antique hunting, a passion that will soon become both a profession and a love story. Tom had already been an experienced collector. Their connection sparked over dusty furniture and hand-painted porcelain, a understanding born from the past lives of things forgotten by others. Together they scoured estate sales, rural auctions, and antique fairs across Indiana. One weekend, they piled into their car and drove south, Mississippi, Florida, stopping at small town shops and flea markets, hunting for treasures, like whispered stories only they could hear. But their bond ran deeper than antiques. They became fixated in their local LGBTQ community, working on a small publication called Partner Rainbow, a short-lived but deeply meaningful gay newspaper, print and distributed quietly in a town that wasn't ready to listen. It gave them purpose, a voice, a flicker of resistance, in a place that too often looked the other way. Still, Lakeville was a hard place to be different. They had roots there, family, obligation, and love, and they believed could blossom even on a rocky soil. But the stares never stopped. Waitresses would go stiff when the two of them walked into a restaurant. Strangers would gawk at Larry's elegant outfits or sneer when he laughed too freely. More than once, someone would mutter slurs under their breath when they passed on the sidewalk. For all their strength and grace, they were constantly reminded that their love came at a cost. Tom died suddenly of a heart attack. One moment he was there, standing over a velvet-lined jewelry case at an auction, and the next he was gone. Larry's world crumbled. The man who had been his partner in love, business, and survival was no longer by his side. The home they had shared since Larry was just 17 years old was now owned again by Tom's father, Daryl Bennett. But Daryl, a quiet and decent man, told Larry he could stay in the house as long as he needed. And so he did. Alone, Tom filled the bungalow with memory. He kept the antique they collected, the coat Tom had always liked, the quiet hum of the past. He still traveled for business, dressed in the signature flair, but those who knew him the best said something dim in him after Tom's death. He laughed less. He stayed out of the public eye more often. His phone calls to friends grew shorter and shorter. But everything changed on the night of January 12th, 2003. That night of January 12th, 2003 was uneventful by all outward appearance. The streets was quiet. Winter winds rustled dry branches as Larry returned home around 9 p.m. The dogs barked softly at his heels. The light flicked on. Inside, all seemed calm. Sometime around 11 p.m., he picked up the phone to call his longtime friend Sandy Smith in Mississippi. They chatted as usual about antiques, about the cold Indiana weather, about everything and nothing. And then something interrupted the call. There's a knock on the door. Not a polite tap, but a loud jarring bang at the front door. Danny froze on the line as she heard a man's voice, angry, insisted, demanding to be let in. Larry's voice, once steady, grew uneasy. It's okay, he told Sandy. I know who it is. He whispered a name, but one that never publicly was released. I'll call you back in 20 minutes. He never did. That was the last time that anyone has ever heard from Larry Groves.
2 weeks later, on January the 28th, Wendy Groves officially reported her son missing. Her concern had grown unbearable. He hadn't been to his antique store. The calls went unanswered. No one had seen him or his dogs. Police visited the bungalow. It was locked tight. No signs of forced entry. No signs of a struggle. No signs of Larry or the two dogs he loved as children. The house stood in eerie stillness, untouched, as if time had pressed pause. Larry Groves had simply vanished. The case quickly got cold. By spring, months had passed with no answers. On a quiet April afternoon, Larry's sisters, Pam Spence, entered the house with police, hoping to find something, anything. Instead, they found neatness. Everything was perfectly in place. No overturned furniture, no blood, no broken glass, just silence. Then in late May, Wendy Groves returned to the house, unable to let go of her mother's intuition. She walked into her son's home and sat at his desk, running her fingers over papers, drawers, hoping for a message hidden in between the lines. She found nothing. She never suspected what lay directly beneath her. Then came June 18, 2003. Dick Shalio, Larry's next-door neighbor, had been noticing something strange. A growing cloud of blackbirds perched along the fence between his yard and Larry's. He assumed they were after the rotting peaches, but the buzz of bees and strange stillness in the air unnerved him. That afternoon he went out to trim the peach tree, its branches now draping like skeletal fingers into his yard. As he snipped away at the overgrowth, he caught sight of something unsettling. The rear siding of Larry's house looked blackened. As he approached, the truth revealed itself. It wasn't paint. It was flies. Thick, pulsating swarm of black flies and bullflies, blanketing the windows and siding like a writhing second skin. Panicked, Dill called Daryl Bennett, the property's legal owner. The two men entered the home, immediately hit by the foul stench of rot. In the kitchen, they found spoiled meat in the fridge. Maybe that was the smell, they hoped. It wasn't. Then Daryl remembered something. A trapdoor hidden beneath Larry's desk leads to a low crawl space. They moved the desk aside, lifted the rug, opened the hatch. And then came the discovery. that would haunt them forever. Larry Grove's body, curled, decomposing, lifeless beneath the floor of the very room where his mother had just sat weeks before. By then, the summer heat had done its damage. The power had been shut off for months. The body was badly decomposed. The autopsy was impossible. No cause of death could be determined, but signs of a struggle were clear. Larry had fought. Police found blood and hair, some of it not his, on his body and within the crawl space. The two dogs were never found. Detectives soon turned to Sandy Smith, who told them about the final phone call. She gave them the name of the man Larry had mentioned, the visitor who had pounded on the door that night. The unarmed man had been selling antiques from Larry's shop without permission. Neighbors, including Dick, had seen him coming and going from the house. It seemed normal at the time. Larry often dealt with antiques, but this time, Larry wasn't around. Police interrogated the man. He was calm, even smug. He denied everything, handed over a DNA sample, and lawyered up. 3 years later, in 2006, the FBI crime lab confirmed that the blood and hair didn't match him. He was ruled out. And just like that, the case went cold again. When Larry's body was found, there was no outcry, no vigils, no yellow ribbons. His murder was barely a footnote. Dear Rauch, a local reporter once said, "There's no real public outrage. If this was an elderly woman or somebody's grandmother, somebody would be screaming about this murder. If it was an 11-year-old girl, there would be yellow ribbons all over, still. But generally, no one cares. I think that's sad. Sad doesn't even begin to cover it. Larry Groves deserved more. More answers, more justice, more love from the town he called home. But in the end, he was left under the floorboards. His story nearly lost beneath time, rot, and indifference. And somewhere out there, someone knows the truth. Before we end this case, let's sit back and remember the man that was unalived, Larry. Born and raised in the quiet town of Lakeview, Indiana, Larry was different from the start. He was artistic, gentle, and openly gay in a place where that often meant being stared at, whispered about, or worse. But he refused to hide. He walked the streets in fur coats and rings that sparkled in the sun, not because he wanted attention, but because it made him feel whole. He was unapologetic himself in a world that didn't always know how to accept him. Larry found love early in life with Tom Bennett, a man 10 years his senior who became not only his partner, but his anchor. Together, they built a life around shared passions, antiquing, writing for a local LGBTQ+ newspaper, and finding beauty in forgotten things. Their bungalow became a sanctuary, filled with relics from the past and the quiet joy of a life built in love. Though they often dream of leaving Indiana for someplace more accepting, they stayed for their families, for their home, and for each other. But after Tom died suddenly of a heart attack, everything changed. The warmth left the house. Larry tried to keep going, running their antique business, staying in touch with old friends, but the loneliness crept in like a draft through the windows. And then one night in January 2003, Larry called a friend. He said someone was at the door. He promised to call back. He never did. For weeks, there were no answers. His house was locked. His dogs were gone. His world had gone silent. It wasn't until months later, after blackbirds began to gather outside of his home and the smell of death could no longer be ignored, that his body was discovered beneath the very floor where his mother had sat searching for answers. He had been hiding there all along, decomposing in the crawl space beneath his desk. Even in death, the world barely noticed. His murder received little attention. His name faded from the headlines too quickly. Many believed it was because he was gay, because he lived differently, because people in town simply didn't care. But Larry Groves was not disposable. He was a son, a partner, a friend, a kind soul who had survived long enough to live authentically, and who deserved far more than silence. To this day, his case remains unsolved. No justice, no closure, just memories, fading photos, and a house that once held two brave men enough to love each other out loud. Larry Groves mattered, and he should never be forgotten. This is the case of Larry Groves. Now let's get into some theories.
Theories.
Let's get into some theories.
Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Lesbian detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find.
Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Researching through your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Lesbian detectives.
You or me?
Good.
With this case, it breaks my heart.
Right.
Because the police, let's be honest, the police could have found his body sooner. If they went in there and they know, like, okay, this was the last place he was seen. His friends say this person was beating on their door. Something happened in this house. If they came and really searched, they could have brought dogs to really search their home. Because, you know, when people go missing from their home and it's their crime scene, they will bring a crime scene tech. They will have everything they need in that search.
Right.
But they didn't, because they brought one dog that could sniff. They would easily found his body and could have had what happened to that man. Because if they say he fell back, he had blood, he had hair all like on him, they fought. That house fought. So you tell me that person had to like redo the house, had to clean up everything. So its blood could have been left in the cracks. If they really did their job and really care about Larry, this would be a whole different conversation.
Right.
And I always sit back, okay, they did the DNA test. It took I think 3 to 4 years. I forgot how long it took. That, first of all, I know, like, on TV we watch, like, oh, they get the blood test back. But to me, even though it took that long, they could have really, like, called, like, hey, it's back. Is it back? Is it back? They could have called back to back and got that blood faster than what they did. And to me, I feel like the man knew the blood wasn't going to match to me, how he acted. He could like, yeah, it wasn't going to match. I don't care. I feel like he brought somebody with him. And the person he brought with him attacked Larry in that moment. That's why I think he was like, yeah, that wasn't going to match me. And I don't think he was going to kill Larry, but I think something happened. Like, cause it seemed like Larry did put up a fight. I think they probably pushed or fought and he probably hit his head or something. And then that's what happened. But he had to really know Larry's house because it seemed like a lot of folks didn't know about that cross spot. It seemed like it was very covered up and it's a secret.
Right.
So he had to know Larry's house. He had to been there. And they say that he'd been there a lot of time, but him to know his secret spot, because it seemed like he was hiding stuff in that spot. So for him to know that, that's big.
Do you think Larry started dating after he lost his husband?
I don't know. But I don't think it was that man, because listen to what his friends said, that this man was stealing from him and like everybody kind of noticed it a little bit. I don't think Larry probably was dating him. I mean, he probably could have. I mean, that is a possibility that he probably was dating his man and that's why he knew so much. And then when Larry found out he was stealing from him, Larry like, you know what? Like, no, like I'm done. And then that's why the man probably like, trying to talk to him. We never know.
Right, because that was Larry and the business. It was Larry and his late partner business. So why is the other guy coming around trying to sell stuff when Larry is disappeared? Right. Unless he hired somebody to do the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy that he knew all about the house layout, the crawl space. This person had to know. Now, the other thing was Larry was talking to somebody on the phone when all of a sudden there was like a door knock. He wasn't expecting whoever came over.
But he did tell his friend who was at the door. So that's like one thing I'm glad that he did do. It's a lot with this story that makes me stop because it's like, okay, he on the phone with his friend. He told his friend who was at the door, and you automatically like, okay, this is the person. Because that's one thing it makes me mad with true crime. It's like when a person go missing, somebody banging on their door, and they tell their friend like, oh, let me call you back, and they never say the name. But Larry actually said the name. You're like, okay, we got a name. And then he was like, okay, run my DNA. And he was smug about it because he was smug because he knew it wasn't going to match. I wonder, to me, I wonder, like, how did he know the DNA was a match? Because it seemed like he was the last person to really saw Larry that night.
Right.
And it seemed like he was stealing from Larry. He knew all this information about Larry. It seemed like all the puzzle pieces fit together and he's the person, but the DNA didn't match. I wonder, did he bring somebody with him to attack Larry?
Or maybe that person went back or went to Larry's house after the initial person had already left.
Yes. The only thing I say about the crawl space is, to me, Larry really knew that person because it seemed like the crawl space was something that nobody knew.
Right.
And it seemed like it was a hidden because he had his desk on top of it. He had a rug. He had that covered for a reason.
Right.
I'm not going to tell my closest friend that I got this crawl space because it means it's something secret to me. So for him to tell somebody, that's a big thing. And he was found there. So that's like,
unless this person had been watching Larry for a long time, they knew that Larry lived by himself. He had antiques, a business, possibly money, and they wanted a part of that.
I was wondering what happened to the dolls.
Right.
Because it seemed like if Larry fought them, dolls were probably going to bark. And I don't know if the dolls would attack. Because some dolls I know, they would like bark and like go off like, okay, y'all do what y'all want to do. And some dolls will help their owner.
Or what if the initial person took the dogs so the second person could come back and attack? I don't know.
I was wondering what happened to the dolls. He had 2 dolls. And to me, if they unalive Larry and if they unalive the dolls, one of the dolls be with Larry's body, but it wasn't. So to me, it's like, what happened to those dolls?
Right.
I wonder if they gave them away or they sold them. They gave them to a rescue center. You never know.
Right.
They're probably like, oh, like I can't kill dogs, but they even know I killed the owner. You never know. Some people.
I just know they had to get him out of the way.
Yeah. And it's just weird because like you didn't put the dogs with the person.
Mm-hmm.
But people say like, I learned this information from somebody, and I can call them out, that if you kill somebody, you put a deceased animal on top. For the cadaver, dogs wouldn't smell the deceased person. They would smell like the dead animal. It just sucked that Larry's name kind of faded.
Right.
That it wasn't, like, basically they found his body and that was it. The police didn't look into the case. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Like, it took how many years to get the DNA match? Between that and you get a DNA match, what else did you do? Because you didn't call and say, hey, we're a DNA match. You didn't look around. If they really knew that this person was their only suspect and a prime suspect, they would have got that blood work a little bit sooner. They didn't care. Larry's name just faded. Mm-hmm. Even the man said, like, if it was an elder one, like if it was an older woman, if it was a teenage kid or this person
or a child,
they would have cared. But with Larry, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sick to me. Yeah. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care about your race. I don't care about none of that. If a person's unalive, you should give them the same respect. Because if that was your family member that got unalive, you want the police to care. Because of who he loved and how he dressed, he didn't matter. Right. And that's sick. And that's crazy that we have to go through this in this time of day now, even.
Mm-hmm.
You can be black and gay. You can be Hispanic and gay. You can be anything or transgender. They don't care because you know blonde hair, blue eyes, you don't matter, and everybody should matter. Yeah. If you go missing or you go unalive, your name should be everywhere. People should matter because if something happened to me, I want my name out there. I want people to care.
Right.
I don't want because I'm gay and black, nobody care about me. That suck.
Yeah.
I want people to search.
Right.
And Larry want that too.
Yeah.
He was in his home on the floor thing for months.
Right.
And the police didn't care. To me, if he fought so hard, it had to be blood in that house. It had to be. They didn't clean that well. I mean, the evidence is really gone because everybody kept coming in and out that house because it's tampered with now.
And the body was severely decomposed, so they couldn't really come to a full conclusion. But yeah, I mean, they just let this one sit, go cold. Nobody really cared. And it's a shame.
And even his mom, too. Just think about his mom, his family.
They tried, though.
They searched. And it's like his mom, how she sat at his desk. And the whole time, her son is underneath her.
Yeah.
As a parent, that breaks my heart. And like, to me, it felt like she knew, like, my son is here. Like, she probably felt his spirit, his aura or something. And we read cases like that and we saw movies like that. Sometimes the parents can feel their child at a spot and like, my child is here. My child is here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sad that like his name is just
disappeared.
And whoever done it, count your days. Just count your days. I'm not threatening you. I'm just saying count your days because karma is going to get you.
Right.
I always know that. I mean, it's just sad. Well, this is our case, guys, and this is our episode. And if you have any case suggestions, please email us, put in the comments, and we would do them. Trust me. And don't forget, we're on all podcast platforms. A new episode hit every Friday. We are on YouTube. We're on all social media. Until TikTok get banned again, please give us a 5-star rating. And when you go on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, and please like and comment and tell us your theories because we want to know your theories. We want to talk to you about what you think may have happened to Larry.
Yep.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And don't forget, everybody's a suspect.
So proven innocent.
Bye.
Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready. Let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, Lesbian Detectives.